and welcome to the 10th Annual American Climate Leadership Summit. I'm Vanessa, Hauc, news anchor for Noticias Telemundo and ecoAmerica board member. And I'm here with Meighen Speiser, ecoAmerica's executive director, and we will be your host and MCs for the next 3 days. Good morning, Meighen.
Good morning, and hello, everyone. We're so glad you're here with us. We have planned what we hope is an inspiring, engaging, and activating 3 days. But before we jump in, we'd like to honor the land. So in countries all over the world, it's commonplace or even policy to open events and gatherings like this one by acknowledging the traditional indigenous inhabitants of that land. Acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way of showing respect and a step towards correcting the stories and practices that erase indigenous people's history and culture, and toward inviting and honoring the truth. So with that, I would like to acknowledge that I am joining you today from San Francisco on the traditional lands of the Muwekma and Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. I pay my respect to elders both past and present.
And I would like to acknowledge that I'm joining you from Miami, from the traditional lands of the Taino, Taquesta, and Seminole people who have stewarded this land throughout the generations, for which I'm grateful. Acknowledgement by itself is a small gesture. It becomes truly meaningful when we couple it with authentic relationships and informed actions. This beginning can be an opening to a greater public consciousness of native sovereignty and cultural rights, and a step toward equitable relationship and reconciliation. I want to invite you to adopt, calling for, and spreading this beautiful practice. Follow the links that the ecoAmerica team has put to the chat for more information, guidance, and to participate authentically.
I'm grateful for the land I stand on and for all of you who have joined us today at the 10th Annual American Climate Leadership Summit. Less than a week ago, the Biden administration gathered world leaders in much of the same way online. Just like we will do, they spoke about climate ambition, restoration, and justice. However, they kept the conversation generally on the national and international scale. It's so exciting to see the climate progress that has happened in just a few short months. We have a real chance at a habitable world with thriving nature and ecosystems, one in which we all have the opportunity to live our best lives.
Last week's summit and the announcement by the Biden administration to double the pledge level for emission cuts was an important step forward. Not only is the U.S. re-entering the Paris Accord, but also taking a whole government approach on solutions. But we must keep the pressure on our government to both do what they say they will do and do more. We need to go much, much farther and reach our fair share goals and ensure solutions are just and equitable. And as you know, true actions happen at the local level. So that is when all of you come in. We all have a role to play in bringing climate solutions forward. Over the next 3 days, we will dive into our themes: ambition, restoration, and justice. That means doing all that we can do to get to 50% clean energy by 2030. It means we need to restore nature, our communities, and also ourselves. And most importantly, we must center justice and equity in everything that we do. We simply cannot have climate solutions without justice and equity. And there is no true justice without equitable climate solutions.
And while there's promising progress at the national level, we need to do so much more to bring equitable and just climate action forward down in our local communities, particularly when 135 million of us, including an amazing disproportionate amount of people of color, live in countries where pollution levels frequently make the air too dangerous to breathe. And that's according to the American Lung Association's 22nd State of the Air report, released last week on Earth Day. Vanessa and I also want to take a moment to recognize that this year we've had has been really a traumatic one. As much as we're energized about our next 3 days, we want to first recognize that so many of us have lost loved ones due to COVID or battled through it ourselves, been economically or emotionally impacted by shutdowns, experienced trauma from structural racism and police and gun violence, and so much more. Not many of us have been spared of hardship this last year. So with arms extended, let's embrace each other. Let's work together to heal and to act with empathy and compassion. And let's use our realities as a springboard for action. As Vanessa said, all of us have a role to play, and we hope over these next 3 days, you will find the inspiration, information, guidance, and opportunities you need to further your own actions for just and equitable climate solutions, no matter if you are a seasoned advocate or just getting started. Today, we are pleased to present our National Health and Climate Forum, hosted by ecoAmerica's Director for the Climate and Health Program, Rebecca Rehr, followed by the National Faith and Climate Forum, hosted by ecoAmerica's Director for Blessed Tomorrow, Annie Fett Cruz.
It looks amazing. It's a full day of sharing and collaboration, including fantastic speakers and working sessions in which you can directly collaborate with cross-sector leaders. We also included a few stretch breaks to keep our bodies and mind refreshed. And you can engage in this summit in so many ways. See the Action Center to the right of this video feed? In it, you can chat with attendees or chat with any attendee individually. You can take polls, ask questions, and vote on other people's questions. And you can also let us know how you're feeling. So this is really cool because we have emojis to let us know how we're feeling. There is hearts, there is thumbs ups, and there is so much more. So let's try it. How about everyone who has joined today? Do two things. The first one is let us know how you're feeling by clicking in the emoji. And also use the chat to let us know where you're dialing from. You can use your city, or for those of you who have downloaded the guide, you can also recognize the indigenous land where you're on.
I love it, Vanessa. So great to engage. And for those of you who love social media, join the conversation online and be sure to follow, like, and share the ecoAmerica's team's tweets, or tweet out your own using the hashtag ACLS 2021. You can also take a moment to sign on to the momentous commitment to call for halving emissions each decade going forward, restoring creation, and centering justice. You will find the links to the momentous statement and commitment by scrolling down the page and clicking on the Programs tab. It's going to be a great day and a great 3 days. I look forward to seeing you all in the chat.
Me too. And it all starts with the National Health and Climate Forum coming up next. In this forum, we're going to tackle a broad spectrum of climate and health leadership and action. You will then be able to join a breakout session to collaborate with others to move climate and health action forward. You can see the entire agenda for the next 3 days by scrolling down on the page below. The agenda includes session information, list of speakers, and the links to the bios, and the themes of the breakout and networking sessions you can participate in.
Fabulous. You'll be seeing Vanessa and I quite a bit over the next 3 days. We look forward to seeing you too. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce you to our opening keynote for the day, a profoundly effective leader, a fabulous, wonderful person, a true climate champion, a friend of ecoAmerica, and actually one of our past American Climate Leadership Award judges, and a woman who has been talking about climate change as a health issue for decades, National Climate Advisor, Gina McCarthy. Welcome, Gina.
Hi, everyone. Let me start by thanking Bob and everybody at ecoAmerica for all you're doing to make the world healthier, safer, and more equitable. You never fail to amaze me with your passion and tenacity. And of course, thanks for inviting me to help kick off the 10th annual American Climate Leadership Summit. Last year, I had a great time at this event when I was working in a slightly different capacity, but I really am happy to be back again to say that a lot has changed in the past year and even in the last 100 days, and that would be a big understatement. This year, we may still be coming together virtually, but things seem to be getting on track with vaccinations happening at a pace in our country that no one ever thought possible. And when it comes to climate change, quite a bit has happened over the last 100 days. Because starting on the day he took office, President Biden has consistently and repeatedly identified the climate crisis as an existential challenge, one that threatens our health, our safety, and our national security, one that impacts the communities left behind. You know what I'm talking about, the Black, Brown, Indigenous, and lower-income communities that our country has failed to invest in for generations, leaving them at significantly higher risk during this pandemic, and many who are sitting in the crosshairs of climate risk. Well, today I'm happy to say that this past week we celebrated the 51st Earth Day with the president taking bold new steps to tackle the climate crisis in the U.S. and jump-starting climate change ambition across the world. He released a bold, ambitious U.S. climate commitment of 50 to 52% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 at a leadership summit where he and Special Climate Envoy Secretary John Kerry hosted world leaders, and it proved to be a tremendous opportunity to reignite our country and other countries across the world in the fight against climate change. This past week, we showed the international community that we are not just back at the table, we're back ready to lead again. Right now, delivering on those climate commitments is job one for me, and I hope there'll be job one for all of you as well, because we have no time to spare. This decade must be the time when the world takes climate change seriously, not just because our kids' future depends on it, but because we can. We have a wealth of opportunities, climate change solutions, from building sustainable infrastructure to investing in innovating in clean energy economy right here in the United States again. We have an opportunity to deploy these innovations across the world. These solutions are the opportunity of our lifetime, not just to tackle climate change, but to put people back to work, fuel our economic recovery, especially in communities left behind, and win the future for all our children. I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of tough work ahead. That's why I'm happy to help kick off this summit today, because you're no stranger to the hard work of organizing and creating the change that we need across so many communities. And I know later today you'll be awarding the American Climate Leadership Awards. You'll be looking at finalists who have been so inspiring. Their stories remind me of the passion and ingenuity that all of us can bring to the table, and they fill me with hope. They remind me how much fun I had working way back when in the 80s as a local health agent, fighting to deliver on America's promise that everyone has a right to clean, healthy environment, clean water to drink, clean air to breathe, and safe places to live and to learn and to work and play. And in many ways, that is what brings us all together in this climate fight. Because after all, when storms and floods threaten our communities, building back strong and smarter infrastructure is a block-by-block project. And when we make decisions to invest in clean power, the benefits to our air and water are felt at your local schools and your local playgrounds. So while climate change is a planetary problem, it's really all about people. It's about us and our families and our communities. And the key question is, do we have the courage and the stamina to deploy clean climate solutions at the pace and breadth that we need, and to invest in the innovations that will open up the kind of future we want to hand to our children? Well, these actions you celebrate today might be local, but they are the foundation for the kind of systemic changes that we need, the kind of change I'm working in the White House to accomplish, for a president who gets it, a president who has put on the table the American Jobs Plan, which is all about bold investments that will shape today and shape our future. And it will show the world that we do not have to sacrifice to stop the climate crisis, just the opposite. We can and we must build a clean energy economy because it will deliver a healthier, safer, more equitable, and sustainable future for us and our children. So 51 years after the first day, I guess I'm returning to the old mantra that still seems so fitting today. Think globally and act locally. That's exactly what you're doing and what we are all gathered here today to celebrate. The organizations and the people being recognized have built political resolve in ways that demonstrate diversity, inclusivity, and a dedication to environmental justice. So bravo, everyone. And please, keep up the enthusiasm, your positive can-do spirit, and keep fighting the good fight. Thanks, everyone.
Wow. Thank you, Gina. I'm so grateful you could join us and that we can all be together virtually. But I look forward to the day when your remarks are met with the thunderous applause that I know everyone is feeling after hearing from you. I'm also grateful you chose a career in climate action and solutions. I'm so energized after hearing you that I could just as easily imagine you selling out stadiums on your motivational speaking tour. Welcome to the National Health and Climate Forum to kick off the American Climate Leadership Summit. I'm Rebecca Rehr, Director of Climate for Health at ecoAmerica, joining you from just outside Washington, D.C. on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank and Piscataway. You know, almost a decade ago now, Gina McCarthy was the first person I heard talking about climate change as a concern for her grandkids, and not polar bears. She's one of the people who helped shift the narrative of climate change to the impacts we're feeling here and now. Climate change is about people, so climate solutions are about people. And that's really what we at ecoAmerica are all about. Climate solutions that are rooted in ambition, restoration, and justice. We need climate solutions that work for all people. Climate for Health, one of ecoAmerica's 3 sector-based programs, is a national initiative led by a diverse network of leaders from across the health sector. We offer tools, resources, and communications to demonstrate visible climate leadership, inspiring and empowering health leaders to talk about and advocate for climate solutions. ecoAmerica's research has consistently shown that our health and our families' health are major motivators for climate action, health professionals are trusted leaders on climate, and that people understand climate action as a moral imperative. There are a growing number of forums on health and climate, and we chose to narrow the topics for today to include climate impacts on mental health, climate change, maternal health and birth equity, COVID-19 solutions that multi-solve for climate, and health equity and climate justice. All of these topics have direct impacts on people and have immediately tangible solutions. Our speakers throughout the forum will provide ideas for those action items that you can take, and you'll have a chance to talk to your peers about this in our breakout sessions this afternoon. We're looking forward to what you have to say because those discussions will directly feed into the recommendations report for our summit. We also recognize that we are here today to talk about solutions to our climate and health emergency amidst a number of other public health priorities. Our continuing battle with COVID-19 and the need for more equitable vaccine distribution, a reckoning with systemic racism in our policies and practices that have resulted in police brutality against Black and Brown people and hatred aimed at our Asian American and Pacific Islander neighbors. We also face an epidemic of gun violence and attacks on our democracy and voting rights. Any one of these issues could be enough to overwhelm or defeat us. But in public health, we know that solutions that prioritize health equity can have cascading and synergistic benefits that lift all boats, after ensuring that everybody has a boat and is safely aboard. Using the social determinants of health framework, we know that health is not just the absence of disease. Where we live, our race, our wealth and income, our education, all have an impact on our health. This needs to be a guiding principle as we craft climate solutions. The ambitious climate goals Gina mentioned are aligned with the demands of health professionals around the world who know that cutting our emissions will ease climate-induced ailments in their patients, like asthma attacks, more severe allergies, preterm birth, heat stroke, and the spread of vector-borne infections. I feel like the Hamilton soundtrack must be playing nonstop in the White House. The administration is clearly not throwing away their shot, literally when it comes to COVID-19 and figuratively in this moment for climate action. I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry. Our country is still pretty young, as are many of today's climate leaders. And if we apply that ingenuity and that hungry attitude towards climate solutions, I know we can create a more equitable and just society with cleaner air and water, resilient communities, and a healthy, thriving economy. That's what we're striving for and what we want to focus on today. We have the opportunity to act now to build the public health infrastructure that will make these concepts a reality. The Biden-Harris administration has committed to an all-of-government approach to climate solutions and environmental justice, and they need our help to chart the course and put some specifics in place. Throughout the summit, think about local actions you would like to see that fulfill this national purpose. Use the Action Center to ask questions and share your thoughts. Live tweet the event with the hashtag ACLS 2021 and stay engaged with us by subscribing to the Climate for Health newsletter. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Arthur Evans, CEO of the American Psychological Association, who will be moderating our first panel, Climate Impacts on Mental Health. They're in the green room now and ready to join us on screen after a brief word from ecoAmerica. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Robbie-Ann Meighen, Chief Development Officer at ecoAmerica. Welcome to the American Climate Leadership Summit. This year, the lineup is exciting with over 100 of ecoAmerica's partners participating and over 80 impressive presenters sharing their expertise and representing a wide range of geographies, organizations, and sectors. I'd like to extend a special thank you to partners and supporters, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes, for their tireless work to make this summit relevant and inspiring. We could not do this without you. For those of you who don't know ecoAmerica well, our mission is to build climate leadership in America. We support over 100 trusted institutions like the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Baptist Church, and National League of Cities as they center climate change in their work. They don't join us, we join them. Our Climate for Health, Blessed Tomorrow, and Path to Positive Communities programs offer customized climate ambassador trainings, research resources, and guides so they can catalyze climate action among their members and stakeholders. There are over 35 million Americans who are very concerned about climate change, but for the most part, no one is asking them or helping them address the issue. Through our partners, we have unique reach into these communities and sectors. We inspire and enable a broader diversity of Americans to identify on a personal level with climate change and then act and advocate for solutions. We embed justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in all of our work, and yet we recognize that we can and must do more to make climate justice and equity real and correct past injustice. Please collaborate with us to continue building a powerful, positive movement of climate action and climate solutions. Check out the resources on ecoamerica.org and subscribe to our newsletters. Follow us at ecoAmerica on social media for the latest resources and details about our weekly Let's Talk Climate webcast and more. If you are interested in becoming a climate ambassador or would like additional information about encouraging your community or group into climate action and advocacy, reach out and we'd be happy to help. Thank you and have a great day.